yet another webinar of the DCM Cares. These days, the prime focus is on learning. Everyone wants their children to just go on learning, which in turn has led to tensions in the minds of the students and their parents. Our today's webinar focuses on this sensitive topic. Today's session is all about creating a healthy learning environment at home, and to help us achieve this, we have with us Ms. Shalini Nambiar. She has a rich 26 plus years of experience in education. Her unconventional vision and wisdom finds root in her attempt to break stereotypes that education is pinned down with. The outcome, she believes, is not knowledge, but a stack of degrees that provide employment. And this is the domain which she has worked intensively upon to bring about a change. In moving ahead with the belief that education, when imparted in its true spirit, has the power to change the world. She aims to provide high-end training in leadership development and behavior skill abilities for the organization, educational institutions, and individuals. She has been a speaker at several national and international conferences. She has been honored with numerous awards and felicitations during her educational journey. Dear viewers, you can ask her questions by typing them in the chat box, which will be answered towards the end of the session. So good evening, Ms. Shalini. I extend a very warm welcome to you on behalf of the DCM group of schools. So kindly enlighten us on how we can achieve this blissful state of learning combined with joy at our homes.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome, and a very good evening to everybody who's watching this. I'm super duper excited to do this because this topic is very close to my heart because I am a parent, right? And this is a tough time for all of us. It is parents are having a challenge. How do they manage their time? How do they, the distinction between home and workplace has diminished. So a lot of parents are working from home and schools have still not opened. So how do we create a healthy environment for the children at home? That is what I'll be talking about. And how I'll be taking my talk is relating some real life incidents and creating stories. I mean, we are all stories are very influential. And first and foremost, I want to tell you parents, before you think about, because parenting is a challenge, right? It doesn't come with any instructions manual. When we become parents, we struggle, we try and bring up our kids the way we think is best. And sometimes we go overboard. I'm sure you know about the giraffe. So when the giraffe baby is born, what does the giraffe do? The baby is very tender. He's just come out of his mom's tummy. And the giraffe mom gives a sharp kick to the baby. And the baby has just come out and he trembles like, what is my mom doing? And then she gives another kick and the third kick till the baby gets up and starts running. The reason behind it is the mom giraffe knows that she cannot be there all the time. And she wants the child to be able to become confident, to be able to deal with different kind of animals who might want to eat a baby giraffe. And this is what is it's a very, very important lesson. Sometimes we protect our kids so much, we overpower them. We do not realize that we are not letting them grow. So first and foremost, very important as a parent that you need to take care of yourself. Because if you are not healthy, if you're not happy, if you are not, you do not have positive vibes, you will not be able to do so with the children. I've come across, like in my career, so many thousands of parents, and parents are so stressed out. My child is doing this. They put so much pressure on the child without realizing that they need to be happy first. They need to take care of themselves. So how do you do that? So very important. And I think COVID has been, some parents have been saying, online class, schools, we are missing schools. Of course, the teachers are missing school, the children are missing school, but this is the new world and we need to accept it. And we need to be open towards change. That is one part of an education which is so very important. So how do you take care of yourself? Learn to prioritize things. Because before we start talking about how do you take care of the children, most important person is you. So are you healthy? Are you happy? So there's a beautiful story. There's a professor, he picks up a big crystal glass. Some of you might have heard it, but I think it's a big reminder of how do we prioritize things. And he holds it in front of a group of students and he puts these huge golf balls in it. And he asks the children, is it full? They said, of course it is full. Then he takes some small pebbles and he puts it. And the small pebbles find place in between the big golf balls. And again, the children say, of course it is full. Then he takes some mud and he puts it. That also finds place in between. And the class is like, how children are. They say, of course it is full, sir. What are you trying to tell us? The important message which the professor was trying to give is the golf balls represent the most important things in your life. That is your family, your job, or maybe whatever is important to you. The small pebbles represent things which are not so important. Like during the lockdown, we realized how, unimportant the cars were. We all had, you may have a limousine, I might have a cycle or whatever, but it was all lying. We could not use it. So it is not so important. And the sand represents the least important things. And most of the time, the parents, we start focusing on the least important things. So the professor tells the class that fill your glass with intention. Now, if you fill the glass with the least important thing, that is the mud, you cannot put in the small balls or the golf balls. If you fill the glass with the small pebbles, you cannot fill anything else. So you need to prioritize what is more important to you. You gave birth to a child. The child didn't come to you and say, hey, mommy, daddy, I want to be born. You gave birth. It is your prime responsibility to take care of the child, to find time for the child. A lot of parents say, I give a lot of quality time. What is quality time? When we fall in love, you look into each other's eyes and you just give complete time to that person. That is quality time. A lot of moms say, I've given up my job because, my children are there. No, you're not making him, you're making him more dependent. You haven't done a big sacrifice by giving up your job. That maybe you may be pleasing yourself, but are you interested in giving quantity of time or quality of time? Quality of time is very important. Quantity is not important. You may be with your child for 24 hours, but if the child is not confident, is not able to deal with failures, doesn't develop, learns life skills, you haven't been a good parent. So before we talk about creating a healthy learning environment, it is important, first and foremost, parents, that take care of yourself, your health. Give time, what we call it, the me time. It is extremely important. Second, my important advice to you is do not turn your home into a school. Home and school are two distinct institutions. I remember when I was a kid, I mean, that's a long time back, right? You can make out from my white hair. I mean, the school did its job by teaching us academics and whatever extra they wanted to do. When we came back home, it was focusing, the moms and the parents, they focused on life skills like make your bed, clear your table, or put the plates back, or do whatever. Nobody questioned us, what is your homework? Today, the conversation between a parent and a child is, what is your homework? What did you do? How was your school day? Don't turn your home into a school. In the COVID times, of course, we understand that you need to give him space. But when you become a teacher, the child is confused. The child doesn't know who's the parent. The child, who's the teacher? Is he, I do a lot of school audits and I find sometimes the parents are sitting with the child while they're attending the class. Now the child is so paranoid. What is the message you're giving the child? That I don't trust you. If I get up, you're going to walk away. No, you need to first build your trust because the child, you want your child. A lot of parents, anybody, if I ask you right now, what do you want your child to be when he grows up? Everybody will say, I want my child to be happy. I want my child to be really, successful in whatever he does. And why do you put pressure? So first and foremost, build trust. Give him that confidence that I trust you. Let him fail. It's all right. It doesn't make a difference. You tell me in our lives when we grow up as adults, how many times we fail and we are able to get up and come back because we have been taught those skills at home. We are confident. You need to be able to let your child be. It's a law of science. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are science people and you must have heard it. This, in the dispersal process, the seeds which are dispersed the farthest from the mother plant grows the healthiest, while the seeds which fall under the tree do not grow. The same way with kids. You need to let them be. I'm not saying just let them be, but you need to trust them. You need to be guiding them. Don't become a teacher. You're not a teacher, you're a parent. And it's a very fine line between, being a parent and being a teacher. So don't confuse the two roles. Your question to your children should be, how was your day? What did you do? Did you help somebody? Focus on the life skills because those are the skills which are very important, which a child learns from a home environment. A lot of parents come and say, "मेरा बच्चा बोलता नहीं है, कुछ नहीं बताता क्या हो रहा है." How will your child speak? Do you speak? Do you share your things? You know, I always tell parents, have a, like we have a meeting in the corporate or in the office where everybody sits down and one person talks, everybody listens. The same way as a parent. Sit with your child, sit with your wife. You start first. You say, how was your day? Then the wife should say, and child, when he notices that everybody is sharing, he's going to share. But if he's not been brought up in an environment where the family is sharing things with each other, how will the child learn to share? You know, they come to the school and they start getting asked, "Bachcha bolta nahi hai, aap kuch kariye." What can the teacher do? And let me also tell you a big secret. I mean, if there are any teachers in this group, they will know. We know much more about your child than you know. Because we build a real good connect and the children come and tell us what happens at home. So you need to first and foremost build that trust, build that confidence, you know, create an environment which is healthy because you cannot create a learning environment for your child if you're not focusing on the skills. You are the one who lays the foundation of his attitude and behavior. You do the most important job. You teach him language. When you admit a child to a school in a nursery, we polish it, right? But you have done the most important job, the most difficult job. Your child knows how to speak, and that is extremely important. Please, again and again, I'm saying, a lot of parents they convert their home into a school. Ab COVID hai, chalo baith jao. Ab aapka class hai. Stop reminding him. How long will you do it? When the child grows in grade, when he becomes 30, you want him to come running to you and say, Daddy, Mommy, what should I do? Or you want him to be independent. You want him to be confident. You need to be able to have confidence in your giving him, empowering him with life skills that he finds his way. There's a very famous guy called Khalil Gibran, and he said very clearly, children are like arrows. You are like a bow. You just shoot the arrow. Which direction the arrow will go depends on which side you put the bow. But you cannot, the arrow can go diverted because of the wind and because of other factors. But you cannot be, you cannot force the arrow to go where you want them to. And that's what a parent does. Children get suffocated. So much of pressure. स्कूल में प्रेशर, घर में आते हैं वहां पे प्रेशर. वो क्या करे? Look at India. In the past 30 years, how many innovations have taken place? How many discoveries have taken place? Let's talk about it. Is it entirely the school fault? Of course not. Somewhere the parenting has gone overboard. The roles have got confused. The parent says the school must do this, 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 this. The school expects parents. You need to focus on your teaching him the life skills, involve him in household work. You take your kids to McDonald's or whatever, you order food, or nowadays you must be. Have you ever asked your question, do you know how McDonald came? Did you talk to him those things? Try and widen his knowledge. In dinner time or meal time is the best time as a family to collaborate and to learn from each other. You want your child to read. You want your child. A parent, I remember when I was heading a school, he came to me, मेरे बच्चे को आप फटाफट English सिखा दो, madam. मैंने कहा, okay, fine, I'll teach him, no problems. He said, पढ़ता नहीं है, books नहीं पढ़ता है, आप इसको reading की habit डालो. I just asked the parent, how do you read? He said, no. I said, then how do you expect me to make your child read if you don't read? The child needs to be surrounded. Create a reading time. How do you do that? You and your wife, even if you take off 15 minutes, pick up any book, pick up a newspaper, say it is reading time. Let the child also join you. And when he sees his parents reading, he will develop a habit of reading. He cannot learn that because most of the time he's with parents. Please try and understand that. You need to support. And child's development can only happen if the teacher and the parents are on the same page. Teachers are putting in a lot of effort. It's not easy for us. You know, we are not used to the camera. We're not used to the Zoom. For us also, it is something new. So the teachers need a lot of support from you to create a healthy environment. Set a schedule. This is not a holiday time. A lot of parents say, "Abhi wo bacha उठ रहा है, sleeping suit में class में बैठ रहा है." No, this is the new normal. We don't even know when the world will come back to normal. You need to prepare your child for that. Wake him up at the right time, at the time he was going to school, especially with little kids. They like schedule. They like if they are told, this time it is this time it is this. Don't change. It's not a holiday. you know I have seen moms, the child comes, meko ye nahi khana hai, mother will run in the kitchen and make something else. What are you trying to teach your child? This life offers you that if you don't like something you'll get another thing? No, of course not. And then a lot of people you find at the age of 30 go into depression because they do not know how to handle failure. And it is not the fault of schools only, it is also a parent fault. The parents have to accept that. When a child grows up, I want to ask you a very simple thing. It's a really humorous thing, which I feel. When a child grows up, nobody says the child looks like a teacher, right? They say either वो मम्मी की तरह लगता है या डैडी की तरह लगता है. Who has a greater influence on the child? It's you, the parent. I want to tell you another story. You must have heard, story of a cocoon. When a butterfly is about to be born, it is in a cocoon, right? So there was this man going and he saw in the cocoon this little thing trying to struggle out. So he thought कि अगर मैं इसको काट दूंगा तो butterfly निकल आएगी और वो little fly away. But and he went ahead and he cut the cocoon. But what happened? The butterfly could never fly because the struggle is very important to give fluid to its wings. And that's what we do with child. We give them everything. We don't want them to struggle. There's another very beautiful, I'm forgetting the name of this guy. He's a Nobel laureate. He was a physicist and an artist. So when he got the Nobel Prize, he was asked that what led you to become so creative? And he said that when I was, 3 years old, and I still remember I went to the fridge and to take out milk. And when I took out the milk, it fell. And what any of us will say, oh, bache ne doodh gira diya. We're going to get upset. And don't deny it. We too get upset, right? But he said, my mom said, come, sweetheart, let's make designs in the milk. He said that was the beginning of my creativity. William Berkshire, CEO, right? He said that he started his business at the age of 6 because his parents taught him financial management. You have to focus on those skills. Don't turn again and again, I'm saying, your home into a school. Otherwise, your conversation with your child throughout the school, when the time is for you to set his attitude, his behavior, you know, your conversation with him is only focused on what he's doing in school, padha kya, kitne marks aaye, uske kitne aaye. What will happen? Very soon he'll grow up and he'll go away, and you will be lost because you haven't been able to build that connect with your child. You haven't been able to give him that environment where he feels free to come back and talk to you and say, Daddy, I failed. How would you accept it? You tell me if your child doesn't participate, let's say, in a debate competition or in a poetry recitation, and he doesn't do well, he comes back. How should you react? How should you talk? So there's another story I want to tell you. I'm sorry, I want to tell you a lot of stories because they have an impact. You will understand it better. So there was a small boy called Billy. There was a annual day audition at the school, and naturally, see, you must the schools. The mother was more tense than the little boy because she thought my child is the best, and my child will get the best role in the school, right? So she dresses him up in the best clothes. The child goes excited to the school. The child is very excited. Mother is excited, but mother is very tense because she's nervous whether my child will get to the role or no. Now the audition takes place and whatever happens in the school. So she goes when the school gets over to pick up her child, and she's waiting for him with a lot of expectation. The child comes running to the mother, and the mother says, "Okay, so what happened, Billy?" He said, "Mama, I'm so excited. I got a role. All I have to do is to just clap and say hooray." Now, 99.9% parents will tell the child, "Don't do this. This is stupidity. What are you doing?" They will go and they'll blow up the school. What kind of a role is this and all that? Only 1% parent will tell the child or Billy, "Wow, really great." And for the child, it doesn't matter. He's excited just to be on the stage. It is about how you perceive. What parents do, their own insecurities, they try and live through their children. That's not right. That is just not, true. I mean, if I have not been a famous person, my child must become famous. Okay, fine. Yeah, my child should become famous. But what should I do to make him become famous? Give him the skills, give him the confidence. Tell him, "I trust you. I know you will do well." Children get so stressed out during the board exams. The parents are so stressed out. I remember when my son was in 10, I remember one day before the paper, I told him, "Son, let's go and see a movie." And we did go and see a movie. A lot of parents, mothers question me, "What's wrong with you? परसों exam है, आप movie ले जा रहे हो?" I said, "I don't care. He cannot study for 12 hours or 24 hours. The quality studying is more important. He'll just open a book and sit down just to please me. Do I want that? Or do I want my child to succeed and be honest to me? Can you do office work for 12, 14 hours? No, you can't. You get fed up. You need a break. So the children need to be given the break. So how do you create a healthy environment during this time? Set a schedule. Son, this is the time you'll have lunch. This is the break time. You cannot get up before them. A lot of mothers say, "Oh, because I'm at home, I'm working from home. The children child says, I want to eat this, I want to eat that." Who has done it? You have done it. I've seen a lot of I mean, now things are again getting back, at least the malls are opening or whatever. I've seen a lot of parents and a lot of kids, फर्श पर ही लेट जाते हैं. I mean, I want this toy. I want this. And then what happens? The father will be angry, or one parent will be angry, while the other one will say, "Don't embarrass, give him the toy." What are you trying to do? Let him cry. He must get used. The children are very smart. They know your weak point. They understand how to get their things done. You need to be a smart parent. Teach him to respect all, respect the teacher, respect everybody around, help people around. Respecting is very, very important. I think that's in our culture. And how do you do that? By yourself respecting. A lot of, I mean, I've been an educator for almost 27 years, and I have experienced a lot. And I have had parents coming and telling me how my teachers should teach. And I used to just ask them one question. When you fall ill, do you go to a doctor and say that, let's say you have diabetes and you tell the doctor, "I'm going to tell you what medicine to give me"? No, you don't. You trust the doctor that whatever medicine he'll give you, you'll be fine. Same way, you need to trust the teacher. She's an educator. She will find a way out for your child. For her, the success of your child is as important as it is for you. Everybody has their own style of working with the children, but the end, what we want to achieve is the same. It is that every child who comes under our care is successful. So set a routine. He must dress up. I'm not saying wear a school uniform, whatever he wants to do. He must have the break at the right time. He needs to do his own homework. Don't get after him. Have you done the homework? Let him do it. Let the teacher and the school handle it. He will, because what we want the child to do is the child should get into the self-study mode, which is very important because you can hold his hand till he's 18. What about after that? It is very, very important. Then freedom to make choices is extremely important. Allow the child, you know, so many times when we are working, I mean, I've worked all my life, right? And there are days when you don't want to wear a particular thing, you want to wear something else. The child also might give him the right choice. A lot of parents, like when you take, let's say, there's a little 6-year-old kid and you're taking him to a birthday party, and the child starts crying, "I want to go in my bathroom chappals," and the parent says, "No, you will not wear that." Think about it. Why are you telling him that? Are you concerned about the child, or are you concerned about what people will say? They are two different things. If you're concerned about your child, you need to be a smart parent. And how do you deal with kids? Kids love when they're given a choice. Let them take the decision. So be a smart parent. Take out two dresses, one which you want the child to wear, one something else, and give him a choice that which one do you think you would like to wear. When the child takes a decision, you're teaching him the skills not only of decision making, you're teaching him responsibility, you're teaching him how to manage things on their own. Don't keep doing things for your child. You know, माना parents के लिए बच्चा बच्चा ही होता है. But you need to also understand that you need to let him grow, let him be independent, let him learn. How many kids make their own beds? I don't know. Don't do it for him. Let him learn how to put his bags in place. He should be more, you should work on the skills where the child says, "I need to sit for my class." The child doesn't, let's say the child doesn't like a particular subject. अब वो parents go to the teacher and say, "बच्चे को पसंद नहीं है, आप कुछ करिए." Now, the teacher can only build an interest. She's a teacher, she will talk about the concepts. As a parent, you need to also work on creating an interest in the child. You can ask him, tell him about your stories. Don't tell him all successful stories. Tell him about your failure, about how you came up, how you handle things. There was a very funny incident when I was heading a school, and there was this kid in grade 10, and of course, his parents expected him to get 900 out of 100 in math, and they were after him. So much pressure. He was not. His TV was cut off. He was not allowed to go out anywhere. I mean, I tried my level best to convince them, but they will not listen to me because sometimes parents are very stubborn. They say, "No, I know better for my child." Okay, fine. But I could see the rebel in the child increasing. He was not respecting his parents because they were not respecting him. They didn't trust him. When you switch off the TV, when you say take away the mobile phone from your kid, and you are on a mobile, how can you justify it to the kid? And so the kid was naturally very upset. Then after 20, 30 days, I think the family was getting transferred, and he was shifting to another city, and there was a lot of packing and things going on. So he calls me up. He said, "Ma'am, I have to talk to you." So I was wondering what happened. I said, "Yeah, come. Why don't you come to my office and we'll talk?" And he came. He was carrying a bag, and he opened the bag and he says, "Look, my dad has been telling me that he got 100 out of 100 all throughout his life in maths. He just got 50. These are his certificates, which I found." Now, what happened? Did you build the trust? Did you build the connect? You lost it. You were telling a child a lie. You were telling him things that you can never fail. When you bring up your kid like that, and when they face a challenge, they just wither away because they do not know how to handle things. You need to tell them life is not pleasant, life is very tough. There was another kid, there's a Reader's Digest which come up with these true stories. So this kid did not speak for almost 8 years. The parents took the child to different doctors, different psychologists, different people. And this child would not speak, and they tried their level best. And one day, the mother served the child mashed potatoes, and the child suddenly said, "I don't want to eat this." So the mother says, "My God, you didn't speak for so long. How come you're speaking now?" He said, "You never gave me a reason to speak. Everything which I wanted was given to me beforehand." And it's a very important message. When you give things before the child will grow up to be weak. I will not grow up strong. Do you want your child? Question yourself. To pass a grade 12 exam with 100 out of 100? Or do you want your child to be successful when he's 30? Of course, the marks are important. I'm not denying we want children to study. But then you as a parent, let the school do that. You as a parent focus on the skills. Focus on teaching him life skills. Don't paint a rosy picture about life. You have to tell him what happens. Don't waste your time on redoing what the school is doing. The children get fed up. I mean, they want you to understand the child. Your relation with your child should be that. And there's a new concept. A lot of parents say, I'm my child's best friend. Come on, you cannot be your child's best friend. Child is a child. You are a parent. How can you be the child's best friend? You tell me yourself, when you were a kid, did you share everything with your parents? Of course not. Even I haven't. There are certain parts of our lives which we don't share with our parent because we look up to them. So you have to remember, of course, you be friendly, but you cannot be a friend to your child. You are a parent, you have to remember that. There's a very fine line between that. Help your child. Parenting, as I said in the beginning, doesn't come with instruction manuals. You know, trust him that trust him right now that he's taking his virtual classes. If he's looking this side, that side, it's all right. Let the teacher handle your child. I'm sure every educator I know, I have dealt with so many parents, so many teachers. Everybody is concerned about a child. And the problem happens when there is no, and when the trust is lacking between a teacher and a parent, then the problem happens. You need to trust her. She will do her job. You focus at the home. Let's teach him the life skills. Let him falter, give him independence, be positive. If he gets 60%, don't talk about the 40% which he lost. Talk about the 60% which the child got. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for approval. He's looking for praise. He's looking for, and your one word that yes, you can do it, can make a hell of a difference in his life. I remember, so I was not very good in math, and my dad was an engineer, and he always wanted me to do very well in math. And he thought, I'm going to be like, I don't know what he thought about me, but he had huge dreams. I mean, I had a very good relation, but there was one thing about his parenting style that he was very, very strict, and he didn't realize about math that his pressure on me made me fear that subject all my life. I could never get myself to like math unless till my daughter was born and I had to teach her. Then I developed an interest in that subject. Because every time I would open a book, I could see his face in the book, like getting upset, expecting me to do well, but I could not. And because of that, I made more mistakes because I was nervous. I was petrified that I'm going to not be able to do what I have to do. So, very, very important. Be positive. If he's got 60%, he comes home. Your conversation with your child should be, I'm very proud of you. You've got 60%. But tell me, let's sit down and find out, why did you lose that 40%? But what mothers say or what fathers do, actually, you got 60%. How much did that one get? How much did that one get? Stop focusing. You have to focus on your child. And you know what is the feeling a child gets? That my parents are not concerned about me. They're concerned about that other child. When you build in that kind of competition, that is why I'm sure a lot of you are working in the corporate. So tell me, where is collaboration? The new trend is the companies are looking for people. They say, I mean, Google has outrightly said, we don't care whether you are a PhD or whatever you are. You need to have the skills. You need to be a collaborator. You need to be a team player. And those are the skills which are important. Me and you, we don't know what are the kind of jobs available after 10 years. And we are trying to teach them something with our own thought process, taking them backward rather than we can give them the roots. Don't try and give them the wings. Roots are very important. Teach them values, our family values, our culture. Try and teach them that. बच्चों को ये नहीं पता होता कि दिवाली में, when Ganesh and Lakshmi, we all do puja. I asked a question to a grade 10 kid, a very simple question. Because this is a culture in all our homes, right? We do Diwali Puja. I said, which side do you put Lakshmi, left or right? There is a reason behind it. And that kid didn't know. There is a COVID world meter. Every child is talking about a child's country made now, like a cricket score they're talking. I just asked a kid, I said, how many countries are there in the world? Those are the things as a parent you should talk about. Don't talk about A plus B is equal to 2AB or whatever. Don't teach him what the school is doing because you are leading it to more confusion in a child's mind. Like I remember when we teach phonics in a class, the teacher says, okay, say A for A, and the parent says A for A. What happens to the child? The child doesn't know. He will develop the language. He will develop all skills. Stop expecting so much. You focus on your job. What is very important? Very, very important. I want to stress another point. Today's parents want to be super parents. Nothing can go wrong. I am the judge. I know what is best for my kid. So there are 4, 5 kind of parenting styles. One is called, we call it the helicopter parent. The second I call the drill sergeant, and the third is a consultant. Now, what is a helicopter parent? Helicopter parent is like zooming all around the kid. What are you doing? What have you eaten? Have you eaten your food? Have you eaten your breakfast? Have you done your homework? They're all the time around the child. What happens to the child? The child will forget to do things on your own because you're always there. And try and think about it. How would you want your a child like that? Then it's your choice. It's entirely your choice. You know, I was working with the American school, I remember, as a director. And, and I remember we didn't have a maid in the classroom, and the children were taught how to pull up their pants and zip. That was an important part of a class. You can do that as a parent at home. Tell him, does he know how to tie his shoelaces? Does he know how to close? The children love those closing the key. "Nahi, nahi, bachcha hai, bachcha toot jayega." Nothing will happen. I go to a lot of parents' house, and what they do is when they have little kids, वो सारा crystal हटा देते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि बच्चा गिरा दिया. What are you teaching your little one? That I don't trust you. Is the crystal more important or your child? So there's another, you try and imagine the situation. You and your husband are sitting in a drawing room, and let's say your friend has got a very expensive crystal from US or France or wherever. Let's say worth 10,000 is lying on your table. Your little 5-year-old picks up that crystal and tries to cross the room. 99.9% parents will say, oh my God, my crystal is gone. He will drop it. Now, let's say the child manages to cross the room and the crystal doesn't fall. 99.9% parents will again say, thank God the crystal is saved. Only 0.00001% parents will say, oh my God, you could do it. And that's what the little children want. That's what the big kid want, whatever age. They want that encouragement for parents. They want your appreciation. They don't want you to tell them why you didn't get 60% or why you got. They want you to tell them, oh, wow, you can do it. Never mind you got 60%. We're going to work hard together and you will do very well in life. See the change, your tone, your body language, how you communicate to your child, how it will change his life. You can't even imagine. And that is very important. So the helicopter parent is always around. They don't allow their child to do anything. I am there. Every time a child wants something, I'm there. So be there. Are you going to be there when the child is 50? Are you going to be supporting him that time? So those are the helicopter parents. They know even if a child sneezes in the classroom, they have an idea. Because the minute the child, comes back from school or now in the virtual class, the first conversation is, okay, what happened in the class? Let it be. You tell me you were attending an office meeting, and the minute you come out of the Zoom room or whatever, your wife asks you, what happened in the meeting? Sometimes you may have had a bad day. Would you like to talk about it? You want to be quiet. You don't want to share certain things. It's all right. Trust your child. Because when you trust your child, a lot of parents talk about the cyberbullying. Why does it happen? Does it happen because children are smart? Even if you put a child lock, they'll find different ways. How can you stop it? You can only stop because you cannot stop it. They will find new ways of discovering things. They are smarter than you and I. How can you stop it? When you build trust, when you allow the child that it's all right, you can come to me and share whatever your problems are. And sometimes I feel like crying because children cannot share with their parents. It's really sad. I mean, I remember my daughter was, when she was in grade 12th, and they had to go for a dance party, and all her friends would come to my home to change into the kind of clothes they wanted to wear because at home their parents will not allow them. Do you think it's a good idea? You want a child to pretend in front of you? You don't want an honest kid who can tell you, Mama, I want to wear a. You should guide him. You should tell him the reason. Children understand logical reasoning. Children don't understand, they don't want advice. Don't advise all the time. A child has climbed, let's say, a class table. You know, one way of communicating is, I call it garbage, when the parent says, get down. No, the second is, I would request you to get down because if you don't get down and if you fall, you may get hurt. What have you communicated? Just try and listen to what I said. That I care for you, I trust you, but I leave the decision on you. Whether you want to, if you don't get down, you're going to get hurt. And this gives the way we talk to a child is very, very important. A lot of children don't do well in life, in school, in class. Why? Because there is so much of, their parents don't realize there's so much of pressure. There should be openness, there should be transparency. Take your, go for a drive with your kid, but talk to your child. The children want to, they want parents to listen to them. They just don't want to hear advice. They want you to listen to them sometimes of their fears, of their apprehensions, of what they go through. If for imagine, I mean, you are maybe 25, 30, or 35, and your kid is 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever. Try and put yourself in the child's shoe and then think how you will see a particular situation. We have all done it. I mean, I used to hide, in my time there was Mills and Bones, and my dad, as I told you, he wanted me to do very well in math. So I would hide my comics inside my school book so that he will feel I'm studying. But I was reading a comic because I cannot study for 12 hours. My brain will wrap up. And research has shown that after 20 minutes, you need a gap because you cannot absorb so many things. So the second kind of parent is the drill sergeant. The drill sergeant is like an army general who says, whatever I say will happen. If you cannot move, you cannot go there, you cannot do this, all the time giving instructions, not listening to the child, not allowing the child to communicate. You think what happens in a helicopter way? You make the child, dependent on you for all your life. In a drill sergeant style, you make the children run away from you. And let me tell you, as soon as the kid gets an opportunity, he will run away. Nobody wants all the time instructions and advice. They want to be left alone. They also have they want their me time. The third kind of a parent is the consultant, who says that I'm always there, I'm there, I'm your friend, who doesn't take any decision. No, as a parent, you have to set limits. You have to be very clear. Okay, this is the time. Let's say you say 1 o'clock is the time you're going to have lunch, then stick to it. You cannot be a consultant. You cannot be a friend. That's what I feel. So needs dictate behavior. You must try and understand. And I call it, if we are, the children have needs, which I call it spices, spiritual, physical, all of us have, intellectual, creative, emotional. And, and so if we are hungry, we will eat food, right? That is the same way you need to understand your child very, well. Have fun with them. Take out the board games, take out something, chairs, whatever you want to do. Take out with them. You want to teach them geography, don't do the lesson which the teacher is doing. Maybe take them on a virtual tour. Nowadays, you can visit a museum, sitting in your home. Take them. You want to teach them, how many kids, we study geography, right? But so we still are not able to sometimes take out which side is north and which side is south. You do that, teach them those skills. Try and, become a parent where children can come to you and share. Teach responsibility. Be a love and logic parent. Love allows, them to go through their mistakes, and logic allows them to live with the consequences. So like if you have said something, then you must stick to it. Like, okay, if don't give them extrinsic motivation. Like what I say is, अगर तुमने 100 out of 100 आए तो मैं तुम्हें scooter लेके दूंगा, or whatever you promise. Don't do that. Then what will happen? The child is studying because he wants that particular thing. Is that the way our lives work? No, lives don't work like that. You have to teach him intrinsic motivation. You need to do well, because if you do well in life, you're going to get into the best university. If you get into the best university, you'll get a good job. Tell him those things. What happens when you promise him things like that? Oh, my child got 100 out of 100, you're taking him to McDonald's. You take him, you celebrate his success, but then celebrate his failure also in a positive way. And that is extremely important. Um, don't say you don't have time. A lot of parents say, I don't have the time. You gave birth to the child, you have to take out time. I'm sure you've heard of that story. I know my time is getting up, I think, uh, so I'll take just 5 minutes more. Okay. Yeah. So, you must have heard of the story. This child goes to his dad and he says, can you give me 100 rupees? So the child says, no, he asked the father that how much do you make in an hour wherever you're working? So the father says, okay, I make, let's say, 500 bucks. So he says, can you give me 100 rupees? So the father gets very angry with the child. Why are you asking for 100 rupees? And he gets really, really upset with the child. The child goes back to his room and starts crying. After some time, the father realizes that I must find out what is the challenge. So he goes to the child and he asks him, like, why did you ask for 100 rupees? So he takes out, he from under his pillow, his pocket money of 400 bucks, and he says, and he takes that 100 bucks and he says, I want 1 hour of your time. That is what children want. They want your time. Reflect on what kind of a role model you will be for the children. A great parent listens, and that is very important. And that is why, how our body is made. We have 2 ears and one mouth. So listen more and talk less. Thank you so much. And I hope it has been a session which has helped you. So thank you. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Hi, Shalini. We have a couple of questions from our viewers. So the
Yeah,
first
sure.
question is, how to stop worrying about my child's future?
That was my whole talk about that you need to be trusting your child. When you worry, what happens is you lead, the problems come on us, because the worry is a stress which leads to a lot of problems in our own body. And what happens in that case, it's a scientific fact, our body starts giving, we start feeling insecure. So we are not able to give the positivity which a child looks up for. A parent needs to be very positive. Like, I mean, my kids, I have two kids. My daughter is now married and my son is 30. And they laugh at me because whenever, I mean, throughout my life, every time they've had a problem, I said, it'll pass. Don't worry. It'll be over. You have to give them the confidence. You have to show them that, I have trust in you and I know you will do well. Now, what exactly are you worried about? Are you worried that they will not get that particular job, or are you worried they will not get that particular salary? That is what I said. Focus on the skills, because you can only give them the roots. Where they will go, what they will do, we don't know, right? So a lot of people at the age of 35, they give up their jobs and they change their career. I mean, I changed. I started with the airlines, then I came to education. My daughter was a corporate person. She went to music. People change. So it is fine. You cannot have a end goal that this is what we want you to do. And that is why you get stressed, because you don't want to enjoy the present. You want to focus more on the future. So future will be right. Future will be bright for your child if you give him a good present. That is very important.
Right. The next question is, how to make children realize the value of success?
By telling about your own stories, by telling them the stories. When you want them to realize, first thing is you need to understand as a parent what does success means to you. Is success, everybody's interpretation of success is different. For me, it may be being happy is successful to me. For another person, it may be if I get this kind of money, I'll be happy. So everybody's idea of success is different. So the parent needs to understand, give that kind of meaning to the child that this is what success means to people, and you need to choose your path. What is more important to you? What kind of success you want? Do you want people? The most important thing you have to tell your child that anything you do, whether you do right or wrong, it's going to impact you, not me. And how would you want people to remember you? What is the kind of, in a short life, what is the kind of life you want to lead? Do you want to make where people talk about you? That is more important, right? So you need to tell them that about this is the way you can help them in their path, help them in guiding. Parents start focusing 10th board, 12th board, and you ask the child, what do you want to do after 12 years? No idea, because parents have had no conversation with them. Now, there are thousands of jobs which are available, right? There are a lot of professions which parents are not even aware. So you have to allow the child to explore as a parent, and you as a parent also learn with your child. Try and find, because his idea of success may be very different than my idea of success. So you need to understand again and again, I'm stressing, given the roots, make him very strong that he's able to know that this is what success, I will become successful. He should feel the kind of inner intrinsic desire to prove to his parents that yes, I'm going to be, become something in life. That leads to a lot of success for a child, I've seen. Yeah.
Okay, the next question was that is it all right to develop a friend-like relationship with your own kids?
That's what I said. It is good to be a friend to your child, but remember, the parent must remember you are a parent. There'll be a lot of things that the child will still hide from you. You can, enjoy as a friend with him, but there is a fine line between you as a parent and as a friend. A lot of things you won't share with your parents. You'd rather share with your friends. So parenting is something which you need to set the limits, because children should look up to you. We don't look up to our friends, right? We look up to our parents. Parents have to be like an idol, okay? They teach us values, we teach us life skills. So be friendly with your child, but don't become his friend, because he wants to look up to you as a parent. He wants to look, I still remember when, I'm talking about 15 years back. So when my son was in grade 3, and how we laughed. Now today the world is different, but how the kids perceive. It's a very funny incident. And I still remember my son telling me, "You're coming for the PTM tomorrow. Wear a sari and come." I was like so taken aback, like, oh, okay, I'm going to dress up like this and come. So you need to be friendly, that he can be open and tell you that you're a parent. That's very important.
And the last question that we received was that how to be a smart parent.
Be a smart parent. Know your child. A lot of parents, I find, they become their child's friend on Facebook, right, under a different name, because they want to keep track. Now the kids will find out. It's a very small world, right? They smart parent meaning knowing what your child is going to do. Like if you want to check your child's bag, don't do it in front of him. Don't demean him. Don't disrespect him. You know, I want to tell another small incident which happened with my own, kids. So my son was very young, and he picked up 50 paisa. That time, talking about like what, 20 years back. And so I noticed that he had taken the money. So when he came back from school, my talk with him was, we sat at the, for having lunch, and I told him, I said, did you pick up? No, I told him a story that when I was young, I had done a mistake. And, because of that mistake, I was so scared the whole day. He said, I'm also scared today. I said, why? What happened? What did you do wrong? He said, I picked up the 50 paisa. I said, really? I made him realize it. Instead, my reaction was very different, which taught him two things: that he can be open with me on anything he wants to talk about. And I will not pass a judgment. Why children are scared to talk to their parents? Because parents become judgmental. You don't become judgmental. You listen to him and guide him, because they will take the path they want to take. You cannot be all the time there. You must have seen a lot of parents feel very. There was a video taking the round, where two parents were crying about how they've been thrown out by their children, and everybody was blaming the kids. But somewhere I feel the parents were responsible. Which child will throw the parent out? Somewhere the parenting, you've gone wrong. You haven't taught your kids the values. The child doesn't realize. That is what I say. You can be friendly, but you cannot become a friend. You're a parent. You need to bring up those idols where the child realizes you mean business as a parent. I need to do this because my parent wants. But at the same time, you're open to listening to whatever he comes up to you, and don't pass a judgment, because his generation and our generation, there is a gap. There is a gap, right? Yeah.
It was indeed a very inspiring session regarding creating a healthy environment at home by you, Miss Shalini Nambiar. I'm sure
Thank
our
you.
audience must have drawn immense inspiration from you. I wish you all the best for your future endeavors, and I thank you on behalf of everyone here at the DCM Group of Schools. And I would also like to convey my thanks to our lovely audience. Kindly stay connected and stay tuned. Thank you.